Hello again and welcome to another Parent Carer Conversation. So this time I am super excited to have Roxanne with me, and I am going to be handing straight over to Roxanne. Could you tell us a little bit about your situation, sort of both at home and employment?
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, absolutely. So I am employed full-time. I've been a manager for the last 11 years within recruitment, managing teams. At home, I am a mum to Parker, who is 5, who has got autism spectrum disorder, so ASD, and also global development delay. And he was also born with a rare genetic condition, which means that he has an overgrowth syndrome. Parts of his body grow quicker than other parts. But generally, day to day, that's not the main thing that affects him. Generally, that's kind of well managed. It's just the autism that poses the challenges.
Yeah, sure.
As you're probably aware of. So yeah, managing, juggling, kind of parenting, working full time. That's that really, not the parenting journey that I expected.
No.
Had Parker when I was 29, and he didn't present initially. Well, he had a birth, no, pause, fluff that up.
Right.
He had a birthmark all over his body when he was born, which they sent us to Great Ormond Street, and that's where he got the diagnosis around 6 months, I think, after they did all their investigations, etc. So he's under multi-disciplines at Great Ormond Street to manage his different areas: orthotics, orthopedics, maxillofacial, because his teeth, some of them grow quicker than the others, and there's all those different things to factor in.
Sure.
So yeah, often needing time off for appointments and things like that. They come around quite regularly. And him and his dad and I separated early last year for various reasons, but that now means that I'm a kind of single parent, if you like, with support.
Yeah. And what sort of support do you have? Because we do need that support. It's difficult, isn't it? It's there's parenting, which is a challenge anyway, and then there's parenting children with disabilities and additional needs, and that's a whole different level. So what support have you got personally?
I think along the way you collect different areas of support, don't you? So I've got, first and foremost, my mum, who is my guardian angel, and I would not be able to do it without her. She is absolutely amazing. She's so patient with Parker, and she understands his needs. Initially, it's quite scary for family members, especially ones that have had children of their own, when a child presents as, normal, neurotypical, whatever people like to call it, and then he obviously has been diagnosed with this autism spectrum disorder, and it's understanding what that means and how that affects them and what then we need to do to adapt. But my mum, initially was like, oh, he'll get there with the milestones, etc. And that's a very, from over the years meeting different parents, that is a very common response. It's, I think it's a bit that fight or flight, isn't it? I will just run away from this problem and pretend that it's not happening. So yeah, but she's accepted it, she's on board, and she does all she can with Parker to help him, support him, and just make him the happiest little boy in the world. So yeah, I've got her. I've got Parker's dad, who is very loving, and again, the same thing, very open-minded, very supportive. His mum, she's been very supportive through the journey as well, my mother-in-law. I've got a huge family. My mum's one of 6. So cousins and things. So yeah, as much as I think it's important to point out as well that we are limited with who we can have care for our child. It's not an option like a neurotypical parent where you can go, oh, so-and-so John up the road can look after my child. Parker is non-verbal, which presents obviously a lot of challenges with people caring for him, because they need to understand his wants and needs. So yeah, got a nice big family that are always there to help out when I need, but it's not quite the same as having someone to just call on and go, can you watch my child for 2 hours or
yeah, I think that's important. I think because from the outside, people might see that you've got a big family and think you've got a really, huge support network. But you're right, it's not as easy as just being saying, can you just have them for an hour? It's just, you just can't do that, can you? Sometimes even with people that do know your children well, if
Yeah,
they
I think
know their little
yeah,
way.
if they're having a particularly difficult day as well, like you have your own anxiety and your own worry of, I don't want to put that on somebody else. I know what they need at the moment, and what they need is me.
Yeah.
I understand what they want, and or sometimes you have that parent guilt where you're off to work and they don't want you to go that day, or whatever it is. But so it's real finding that balance.
Yeah.
I've also got my dad, who's really good as well. Again, he took a little bit more time, I think, to adjust, but I think it's all about being patient with them, helping them, supporting them. You're guiding them as much as you're learning yourself. You wear many hats, don't you, as a parent carer? You're a trainer. You're training everyone and coaching everybody else on how to care for your child, because you know them best, and you don't always get it right, but you have to then help them as well, because they don't know automatically. It's not going to come naturally to them. It's not natural at all, is it? I've also found a lovely network with socializing with other parent carers. So I've got a really good close, we're called the Send Mum Super Mums.
Nice.
Yeah. They're amazing, and I honestly, I don't know where I'd be without them. We share everything to do with children, and also we get that time just for us as well. So I know them, we're friends, we're not just mum friends. We actually have time away from the children where we can talk about life and dating and all sorts. It gets wild. But no, to have them in my corner, helping me whenever I need anything. I'm on that. We've got a group chat. I'm on the group chat, and that's the best source I've found, actually, is other parents. Because the system, unfortunately, as we know, is very flawed. Under a lot of pressure, slightly broken, and there's so many children that are not getting the support that they need. So I think having that network around you, and also like the teachers at school as well, they're fantastic. Parker goes to a great school, Southfield and Hatfield, for anybody that knows it, and I can't speak highly enough of them. I was actually at trampolining yesterday. There's a local SEND session, and one of the teachers from the school, her son has special needs and she attends, so we catch up there, and that's really nice as well. It's fantastic, and they're always doing all they can at the school. They're inviting us in, they're giving us strategies to use at home. So that is, I've kind of gone off on a tangent.
No, it's good. No, it's good. I think because when you've got a school that's on board, it's absolutely amazing. It's life-changing in terms of having that support and that consistency for our children. But I know there will be lots of parent carers that don't have that are battling against either mainstream typical education that just isn't fit for purpose anymore for the majority of children, let alone children that need above and beyond, or a slightly different sort of process and program. So I think from an employer's point of view, I think it's underestimated the impact that.
Oh, absolutely. Because as I mentioned earlier, I've recently started a new role, and for them, they probably think everything runs completely smoothly and it's fine. But actually, at my last employer, I had quite a lot of issues with Parker setting because he was in a mainstream preschool. So he was struggling with transition, struggling with going in, refusing to go in, refusing to come out, all of those things. Whereas that has all completely gone since, and I'm not saying that it's a miracle cure, it doesn't happen for everyone. I've been very lucky in that since he started school, he's just absolutely thriving there because they can meet his needs. The original setting, as lovely as they were, they just couldn't meet his needs, and so there was a lot of, I've got to nip out to get him, I need to go and do this, I need to go and do that, which it's really difficult, isn't it? Now, looking back, my manager was very supportive, but at the time, I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself to go, oh God, am I annoying everyone? Am I taking too much time off? But actually,
would that reassurance have helped you from your manager? So you said,
that's what I was going to say. My manager supported me through that and said, it's not a problem. We're here for you, whatever you need. If you need to do this, if you need to do that, is there anything else we can be doing? And initially, it was that uncertainty of, well, nobody else here has a special needs child, and what's the rule book? but yeah, luckily I worked for a very open-minded company who was super supportive. And then coming into this role, which I started at the beginning of the year, my new manager, I was really upfront with them during interview stage, etc. So it's complete two different kettles of fish, I guess. So when you're starting a new role, I think be really upfront and transparent about it. And they were so great here. They were like, any support you need, you know. And my boss has got 2 children of her own, and she explained kind of her parenting mantra, and we kind of, you know, found some common ground there. So that was really good. In the previous company, again, it was, you know, it all happened to me. I went on maternity leave, came back, then discovered that he got his ASD diagnosis and all of those things. So I think I kept them up to date throughout the process as well. Some managers don't know to ask. They don't know, they tread on eggshells. They don't know if they should ask, if they shouldn't. So I think my advice on that would be really upfront and transparent. And if you don't know the answer, be honest. I don't know the answer. This is where we're at the moment with Parker. Not sure where it's going, not sure what the outcome is of that, but I will keep you up to date. And I may need X, Y, and Z, not sure. But I think, you know, we're all in this together, and we're all navigating it. Nobody has the answers for everything. There's always going to be things, isn't there, that you go, oh, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, and I think before we started recording, we mentioned, didn't we, that sometimes people can be scared to do the wrong thing. But I think as long as it's with the right intention, as long as it's coming from the right place, I would, and I'm sure you'd agree, to sort of encourage managers to just have that conversation. You said how important communication is as well, didn't you, when we were chatting before?
Absolutely. I think being, really transparent on both sides and having that open line of communication to say, you know, anytime you need, you grab me, we'll have a catch up on this. Or actually, not when you need, actually, can I grab you for 5 minutes? How are things at home? You know, do you want to do it? You know, I think that's something that I did a lot in my previous role. I managed teams, and we'd gone on a walking one-to-one, and it was kind of my rule that we actually wouldn't talk about work at all. And actually tell me how you're getting on at home. You know, tell me what your challenges are at the moment. I want to hear about it, and I genuinely wanted to know. But also it's important for them as well. And I think, you know, seeing it from both sides of the coin, seeing it from a management perspective, managing people, and seeing it from an employee perspective, being managed, it's just important to have those conversations, be really open. And also, I think people tread on eggshells where they don't know how to word certain things. So I think putting it out there and saying, I'm not going to be offended. I know people don't, you know, it's not common enough yet for people to know the right wording to use, or what to say. Well, can I ask this, or can I ask that? But I've always
changes, doesn't it, as well? You know, that what we can and can't say sometimes will evolve. So it is difficult, I think, for managers to know what to say.
And I think as well, if you know that individual, I was at my last employer for 11 years, so I think I had time on my side there. But I think if you know that individual, you know it's not coming from a bad place. And just telling them that, you know, I know whatever you say, it's not going to come from a bad place, so please feel free to ask me, and don't think I'll be offended if you say, you know, can your child speak yet, or will he speak? I get that a lot. Will he speak? Well, I don't know. I don't know is the answer. I hope so, but who knows? We just roll with it.
Day at a time. No, I completely agree. And so what would you say as a parent carer? So you've had 11 years in your last role, which is, you know, amazing. And then you've started this new role now. So what would you say are your top 3 transferable skills from being a parent carer?
I think patience with yourself, with others, and being patient is super important with you. I think as a parent carer, you generally have a higher level of patience than everybody else. But I think being patient and kind to yourself as well is really important. You know, you're only one person, you can only do so much, and as long as you're balancing, and as long as they're happy and you're happy, everything else doesn't really matter. I think positive mental attitude. I think sometimes it's easy to get down in the dumps, or think, you know, negatively, that everyone else is thinking negatively or putting a negative spin on things, etc. And I think just sometimes taking that little bit of a step back and thinking, actually, I'm quite a positive person generally anyway, but I think looking at the positive in everything. So whenever I speak to somebody about Parker, I think, actually, the positive for me, I'm not fed up of people asking me. Actually, the positive is I'm getting the word out there. I'm raising awareness for ASD in a workplace where actually, if I wasn't here, nobody would know anything about it. and encouraging those conversations. One of my directors, his grandson's autistic, so we've built a really good connection around that, because we discuss that amongst other things. But so it's, you know, building connections, and yeah, I think we're looking at the positivity in everything. So patience, positivity, and I think resilience, and never giving up, and just think, we can't give up. We can't give up for them. But I think just, yeah, pushing forward in everything you do.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, and they are all such important skills to the success of a team, as well as you individually and an organisation wider. They're all really, you know, crucial skills.
I think the communication piece is the overarching, and we've already kind of covered it off, but I think the open communication is key from the get-go. Before you do patience, before you do positivity, before you're resilient, you need to communicate.
Yeah.
That's the key to everything.
Yeah, I completely agree. And what would you say to, I mean, we have touched this briefly, but what would you say to a manager that's watching this now that says, I'm really not sure how to go about supporting parent carers in the workplace? Where do I even start? What advice would you give to them as a right at the beginning the journey?
Right at the beginning, I'd say just address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Speak to them in the right setting and be honest with them. Be transparent. What you intend, but what you don't know as well. I want to help you. I don't know how best to do that. So I wanted to ask you. I feel, you know, I go into meetings sometimes and I say, this is a really awkward meeting, but it's got to happen because I need to tell you.
Yeah.
You need to tell me how you're feeling, and we need to move forward and find a solution.
That. Yeah, I'm a big fan of addressing the elephant in the room as well myself. I think it cuts through the, you know, proverbial sometimes.
Yes.
It just gets you where you need to be. Yeah, perfect. And yeah, I think probably the last thing to say is one of the questions I was going to say is what would have helped you, but actually 11 years is a really good length of service at your last place. So you had that understanding, didn't you? Had that communication with your last team. So I think that just kind of reinforces how important that communication is.
I think the other thing that I think exactly that was on my side, and I think it would have helped me had I not been there very long. It would have helped me to, I guess, speed up that getting to know people process, because it's really hard, isn't it, if you haven't worked for it, or if you don't build sort of strong relationships with the people that you work with, and then something like this happens to you, it's sometimes hard to talk about it and be really open, because I get not everyone's as open as me either, but I think just pushing yourself outside that comfort zone to talk about it and ask for support, you know, be vulnerable. I need some support here. What can you offer? And they might not have anything to offer. They might not know, but I think just addressing it is the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Oh,
thank you very much for sharing your journey, your life, your little Parker. I hope he's well.
yeah.
And yeah, just let's stay in touch, and hopefully, you know, people will be watching this during Carers Week and after, and they'll take loads from that. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.